add it to your list of things you already know. Before you know it, you could go up on Urban Beans and do like a whole 10 minutes of things between your poetry, your jokes, and your music. You can do a whole 10 minutes. So the fact that you were able to write a poem one day and then turn around and perform it the next, that's not common. That's not something that a lot of people often do. So you've got a gift, so keep using that gift.
So you're saying that it's not common that people just write a poem one day and then the next day they just turn around and perform it and have it fully memorized?
Yeah, most of the time that's not how that works.
They have to like take a few days to like...
Sometimes it's longer than a few days.
A few weeks?
It can be, or just until they're comfortable enough to perform it. So again, the fact that you went out and did it with really, and you performed it, the way that you read it to me is the same way that you performed it, which tells, like, I knew what words were what. And yeah, you absolutely took care of business. That was fantastic. Fantastic.
So, how long does it commonly take other people, like usually how long does it take most people to like, so when people write a poem and they're gonna perform it somewhere, how long does it usually take for them to get comfortable and memorize it? How long does that usually take?
Each person is going to be different, and so that's what makes what you did unique, is that you demonstrated that you were comfortable not only to have it memorized, but then there's a comfortable point as far as like introducing it. So as a new poem, it's two different things. It's one, do I know it? And then two, am I comfortable bringing it out to people? So that's another really important aspect. You covered two things really at once and took care of both of them. You didn't show like being nervous about performing something new, and then you weren't stuck on your words or like where you didn't memorize it. So each artist is going to be different. So you have your own unique set of gifts as an artist, and being able to like write, retain, and then perform in a short amount of time is a really strong attribute. And then being comfortable just to say, hey, I did something new, check it out, everyone. Sometimes other artists might go through something like uncertainty, like, oh, I don't know if people are going to like it, or maybe this isn't, what I really meant to say, or this or that. So the fact that you went out and just knocked that out on both of those levels is very, very impressive. You should be very proud of yourself. It's not what I think, it's how you should feel about, being able to walk out and do that. That was fantastic.
Thanks.
You are welcome.
And I am proud, and before we got there, I was like, oh, am I really gonna do this? Like, are they gonna like it? And then I was just thinking, and then a thought came to me, and the thought said, you should just skip the poem. And then my brain and me was thinking, no, if they don't like it, that's their problem. But if I like it, that's what matters. And if I'm gonna perform it, then I'm gonna perform it.
Well, that's what open mic is for, is to be able to utilize your talent, your voice, and to be able to say, this is who I am as an artist. So it's a good thing you didn't listen to that voice. Try to never listen to that voice. That voice is the same one that says, boy, it'd be really nice to stop running right now. You probably are tired, you know what I mean? But you don't get better if you stop. Right. It's the same voice that says, oh, you should probably watch TV instead of do your homework. That's a voice that will, take you down if you listen to it too many times. And so you don't want to settle into getting yourself to a point where you're uncertain or unmotivated. So always know that you're capable. Always know that you have the ability to do things, and that you have a strong mind to do that. everybody has that. It's called doubt. And
Yeah.
so sometimes you have doubt that will creep into your brain, but you have to be able to like say, no, you want doubt there because doubt is like running a hill. You want a little resistance to test yourself to know, oh no way, I'm not going to stop running, or I'm not going to, not do my homework, or I'm not going to not do this poem that I worked on. You know what I mean? So
Right.
you want to be able to have that set of strengths, and this is where we talked about when we do three things. Strength is not just in your muscles; it's in your mind, it's in your brain, and that's what really makes you a strong person. It's what's inside of you, because not everybody's going to be able to do push-ups or run or do things like that. But if you're strong in the mind and in your heart, then everything else will fall into place.
Right. And it's okay to have doubt about things that you're really not sure of, but it's not good to hear that little voice inside of you that's saying, no, I think you should like eat a bunch of candy and not brush your teeth, or you should not do your homework and just watch TV, or you should stop running. Don't listen to that little voice, because that is going to try and take you down, and then it's very hard to work your way back up to where you were, and even higher.
Well, and that little voice doesn't have to be inside of you. It can be other people. So sometimes when I'm working, hard at something, people will say, oh, you're doing too much, or that's why I don't do all that. Okay, that's fine. That's for you. But again, that little voice can be in the form of another person. It doesn't mean that it's just the voice in your head. Sometimes you have to not listen to people around you, and sadly, including your friends, because a lot of times your friends won't understand what you're made of, and then they'll want to do something else. So it's like, I don't want to, sit around and write poetry. Let's go outside and ride our bikes. Well, okay, you can go outside and ride your bike, but right now I'm in a poetry writing place. And that's okay to do different things. You're supposed to be able to do different things.
Right. It's just like with that little boy, what's his name?
Anthony, Andre?
Oh, yeah, Andre. Where he would always want to do the same thing. Like he would want me to ride my bike while I was drawing with chalk, and I would say, no, thank you, I'm enjoying my chalk drawing, and then he would try and get me to do what he wanted to do, and that's not what playing with your friends is about. Playing with your friends, yeah, you can sometimes do the same thing, but sometimes it's good to like mix it up a little bit, like where they do something and then you do something, so each and every one of you does something that you want to do in that moment.
Well, you can just do your own things. Like, you don't have to take turns doing the other things. You can just say, right now I'm going to go do this. Or if you have homework to do, if they wanted you to go outside and ride bikes, you have a priority. And then that becomes that little voice where they're trying to say, oh, don't do your homework, come out and do this. Or when you get older, oh, well, we already saw that with some of your friends. Oh, you don't have to listen to your parents. You can go over here. That's not how that works. So don't listen to those little voices, whether it's inside of your head or whether it's through somebody else.
Right, cause it was like with Bella, where she told me that I didn't have to ask you if it was okay before I crossed the street.
Right, and that's
and that was that little voice, and it wasn't inside my mind. It was from Bella.
right. So sometimes they're trying to get that little voice inside of you by saying you don't have to do that, and it's that's really the wrong thing to try to tell somebody. But that's them wanting you to do what they want to do or what they're allowed to do, and that would be like saying, hey, you can drink, 5 Dr. Peppers. You don't have to listen to your parents. Where if her parents let her do that, that's fine. But that's not what we do. And that's not what you would want to do for yourself anyways. So,
Right. I don't even like Dr. Pepper.
even if it was your favorite soda, like having 5 of them, much less one without asking, isn't how things work. Plus, you know that much soda has that much sugar in it and all those other things that aren't good for you. So that would be another reason. So it shouldn't be about you getting in trouble if you do it. It should be about knowing what's best for you at all times. So you know what's best for you is to do your homework. You know what's best for you is if you're exercising, finish your exercise. If you know that, using your chalk or writing poems or working on things you enjoy is something that you're doing at the moment, you shouldn't have to feel like you need to stop doing that just for somebody else.
Right.
That you can get back to them or just say, we'll catch up later or do something like that. But that's really what that comes down to. So you have, again, going back, you have a special gift to be able to take your creative process and then be able to memorize it and perform it. So don't let doubt creep in, because that takes down a whole lot of people that should have been or could have been a lot more in life, but they kept doubting themselves, and that's a bad place to be.
Right. And plus, if you let doubt in, okay, so think about it as if you watched a movie where somebody fell into a really, 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 really deep hole, which is like the doubt creeping inside of you. Then it's really hard to get yourself out of that hole, which is really hard for you to start again fresh and work your way back up to where you were.
Right, and sometimes it's not just a hole, but then the hole, when more doubt comes in, then those sides get watery and muddy. So then it's really hard to climb out. Or
Right.
It gets dark, or it gets cold, or more things fall in, more doubt falls in. So
Or-
it's not just one thing, it could be a lot of things that make it really hard to get out.
Or if you leave the pile of dirt that out on the side and somebody comes out, they could bury you in the hole.
Right. So you just have to figure, how do I not let doubt creep in? And you did a great job with that by not letting somebody tell you about your skin color right off the bat. That's a great place to start, because that's where a lot of people try to put other people down. They make them doubt themselves by way of being, a person of color, or if you're a certain gender, or if you have maybe like a handicap or disability. So there's a lot of things that people will try to put doubt into you over, and you just have to be able to say, no. Even if it's tough, even if it's a big challenge, it's okay to say, I wonder if I can climb that big hill. But to say, I don't think that I can, when you haven't tried it yet, is doubt.
Right.
And that's where people end up saying, well, I just didn't try it because the hill looked too big. Well, did you try it? Well, no, the hill just looked too big. There's just no way I could have ever done it. Well, if you didn't try it, you won't know. So.
Right. So it would be like, okay, so say that somebody offered me a Subway sandwich, and I don't eat Subway, and it was a foot-long meatball sandwich, and I just didn't try it because it looked way too big for me to fit in my stomach. So I just didn't try it. That would be doubt, because I was doubting myself that I couldn't fit that foot-long meatball sandwich from Subway in my stomach.
It's a little different, because if you just don't want a meatball sandwich, that's different than saying, I'm not going to try to climb a hill or try to have a bite. If you just said, I doubt that I will like it, so I don't want to try it, that's different. But I understand where you're making that connection. I would say it's a little bit different, because you could go off and eat like a salad and say, well, now I've eaten, I'm satisfied. Now, if somebody said, you want to try this, and you just said, no, I don't like meatball sandwiches, when you've never had one, that might be a little closer to doubt. But if your goal is to eat an entire sandwich from Subway, then yeah, I guess you could say that there's doubt with that if you're not sure. But I like it to have more of a positive impact on your life, because if you eat too many meatball sandwiches, what can happen to you in life?
Big belly?
Yeah, so what happens if you run a bunch of hills in life?
Big muscles?
So you see the difference? So sometimes it's not doubt, it's just knowing what you want. And if you know that you don't want to eat a foot-long sandwich, then there's nothing wrong with that. And for some people who know that they don't want to climb a mountain or run a hill, that's fine too. But if you've been faced with the challenge where you think that you're going to do it, and then you see the hill or you see the sandwich, and then you say, oh, I can't, based off of the size of it, and then you didn't try it, that's letting doubt take over. So
Right.
it's close. It's very close to the comparisons.
So what I was looking more forward to was not making it look exactly like you were doing it, but I was at least trying to kind of connect the dots.
Right. Well, we definitely got the dots connected. We know what we're talking about with doubt, and it just depends on what you want to get out of something, or